Major League Journeyman. Gentlemen, great to see you. I'm fresh out of the Albertsons dumpster. I got out. Thanks,
He
Gordo.
got you. He got you. Do
That's
you
not bad.
notice how he said that and you had no chance to defend yourself?
Dude, just waits until I'm not on the episode to just slice me in half. I see how you work, Gordo. It's really
He
not
got
that
you.
shocking. I'm a little disappointed in you being friends for as long as we have, but also not completely shocked either. So I guess we are where we are. I wanted to start today with some hometown news. The city, St. Louis, has relieved their sporting director on Monday morning, August 25th. Luch Van and Steel is no longer in the position. Comes off of a pretty controversial game in Vancouver, late night game, MLS After Dark. The 104th minute, an absolutely ridiculous phantom PK call comes out of the upper deck. Referee was alerted in his little earpiece that maybe we need to get one of the biggest summer transfer acquisitions in MLS history to the PK spot for a game-winning PK and get him off the mark.
Wow.
I,
I gotta say, Gargs, I didn't have you for a tinfoil hat guy. I really
I'll tell you
didn't.
what,
But wow.
I'm maybe leaning into a little bit more of the conspiracy theories here. No, I'm just
Greg,
I'm throwing a lot of color on this. I was just a little disappointed because for me, I am invested in St. Louis City, being here and seeing these guys, watching David Critchley and Baggio Siddiq do a pretty good job in trying to galvanize a tough season. And you guys know this when you travel across the country and have two leads that are taken away from two PKs, it is tough for a refereeing decision to be the determining factor in a game. And that was, I think, the epitome of a refereeing decision because it wasn't even called on the field. So I think all of this was just difficult. It's been a difficult year for St. Louis City, and
Yeah.
now to take another step moving forward. Dax, you've probably commented on it. I'm sure you guys chatted about it in the wrap up or the
Yep.
rundown. I
Yeah.
think are you wearing your tinfoil hat this morning or no? Where are we at?
I don't subscribe to any of that nonsense. I really don't. I like genuinely, I think it's
But
okay
you're
to
you're
acknowledge.
also you're one of the guys that gets the script before the season. You're
Sure.
now
Yeah,
on the
sure.
inside.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, sure. Let me go reference it real quick before I give my answer. Hold on. I think human beings make mistakes and referees make mistakes. And in this instance, the referee had a very bad game. And I don't again, I'll say exactly what I said on wrap up because it's still I don't feel any differently. The referee had a poor game and referees have a tough job. It needs to be acknowledged that no ref is perfect and
Hmm.
that when a ref decides how he is going to referee a game, it needs to be consistent. So earlier in the
Hmm.
game, I don't know if you guys saw the entire game. João Klaus had a moment where he gets by Laborda. Laborda does a little back that ass up into him, and
Uh-huh.
he fouls him in the box. He gives him a pretty aggressive hip check in the box,
Yep.
and Klaus goes down, and Fotis Pasakos does not call it. And so I think to myself, look, that looks like a pen to me, but he's not
Hmm.
calling it. And you guys know this as well as I do. Not all contact in the box with defender and attacker is a penalty, and I don't
Hmm.
think it should be. That one, it looked like a pen to me, but he doesn't call it. So I say, listen, he's going to let them play the whole game.
He's
And
set the
he
precedent.
set the precedent. That's what
Right.
it is, Gargs.
Yep.
Then the first PK was not a penalty, where
Nope.
Tristan Blackman gets stepped on a little bit on his big toe and he just crumbles to the ground. He gives a pen on that one, which was not the right call. And then on this one, with Laborda and with Joyner, it's so difficult because BWP made this point on wrap up that if you're an attacker and you're running and sprinting full speed and you feel even the slightest clip or contact with your ankle or your heel, even if it's innocuous, that's enough to make you fall down. That's a fair point. But he has good positioning. He sees the play and he doesn't see a touch in the moment and he lets it go. This is a moment where VAR cannot re-referee the game. Okay? It just cannot happen. He sees the play. VAR says, hey, listen, this guy trips and falls over. I think there's a tiny bit, a smidge of contact. You need to go look at this. It's just, for me, it's unfathomable that the threshold of clear and obvious is met. It is absolutely not clear and obvious at all. This should never go to VAR. Never.
Hmm.
That's my biggest issue with it. If the ref decides, look, in the moment I see a clip, I'm going to call a penalty. I still am not going to agree with the call, but at least I could say he saw it, and Laporta's not going to go down on his own like that. I just VAR in this instance gets it wrong. That's where for me it's just a very difficult moment for St. Louis City. I don't think,
Hmm.
and to speak to Lutz, I don't think he lost his job because of that result. I think
No, of
that this
course
was
not.
a, I
Of
think
course
that
not.
was this was a culmination of having a great first season in Major League Soccer that got everyone excited and ready for St. Louis, and now you haven't lived up to those same heights. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. He's missed on way too many signings. He's missed on his coach signing. Okay, two of them. You fire
Hmm.
a great coach. You hire one that you then fire a couple months later. For St. Louis, probably the right decision.
Gordo, what's the one thing that any player asks for in a referee? It's one thing.
Fairness.
Fairness,
But
consistency,
inconsistency.
consistency,
And
right?
consistency. Well, it's the
Right.
same, one and the same. But I mean,
What
this
and
like
they decide what's fair, right? They decide what's fair, but then asking
in
Gordo,
any game that's not a PK, the ball is going away from goal, and
I agree, Gordo. I think the context of
it's
it matters too.
it matters. How many
hmm
times have I thought I've been clipped, dude, and never ever gotten that call? And for somebody to get in his ear
This is
and be
crazy.
like,
yeah,
"Hey,
yep,
change the whole game, change the whole
yeah,
game right now." And like you
yep.
said, it does ask the question of a lot of viewers, like, "Is this rigged, dude?" Because it's that stupid. Like this has got to be rigged. We have to have Mueller score a
Because
goal. It's
But
not
here's
that
my
way.
rebuttal to that. Why
It's not that way.
why
But
would I know it's not, but why would, like, for all these people out there saying that, why would Major League Soccer want Thomas Muller's first moment in MLS to be shrouded in controversy? Because no one's talking about Thomas Muller
oh
scoring a penalty. They're
no,
just talking about this call. It's just
no,
no, they
of
say
course
the
not.
same thing
Because
about
it's
NBA.
easy to post the silly nonsense
it
online,
is.
Yeah,
It is.
which
I
is
just
what it
see it
is.
and it just makes me laugh because some people, I feel like some of these people are serious.
They
well,
might be,
even
but also some of it is brought upon themselves, right, Gordo? I mean, like it is brought. There's no reason to make that call. There's no reason to change that game in the 104th minute for that specific play.
the
And they are
craziest thing
the
is what
referees are
Dak.
the ones that control that.
Yes, the craziest thing is that Dak said it. Like they called him. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
they
Hey,
called
hey,
down to
bub.
him, and he was like, "Hey, yo,
We
did
think
you
you've
see
done
that?
a pretty
Did you?"
decent job in the last 103 minutes,
Yeah,
but we're going to
yeah.
completely change this for you right now.
We'd like to risk your job right now, and he should be suspended. And I have been a proponent of this forever and ever. The referees need to have some kind of consequence when they do this crap because this costs people jobs. It costs players jobs. When there
Hmm.
are moments like this, it
Hmm.
costs G, uh, you know, uh, player,
Luch?
what would
Lutz, Fan of
coaches
Steel.
and everybody. It costs everybody jobs, and it's not fair that they get to make these stupid decisions even when they have video replay. Bro,
But
are
that's
you
that's not what
joking?
that I think VAR is a good thing for the game, but these types of calls and plays are not what it is meant for. That is not clear and obvious. That's the threshold that you that that
Yep.
that that they have set. That's not clear and obvious. It's just
He
not.
should
I
have.
don't care what
It's like
anyone
a
says.
scared call. He should have just been like, "Nope, I saw it right. Thank
Oh,
you,
totally.
thank you. I'll
Totally.
talk
Yeah.
to you. I'll talk to you later." Click.
He
You
totally should have.
and what's probably not talked about enough though in those moments is the pressure that those guys are probably feeling.
Well, that's what I
You
mean.
are
That's why it was scared.
right, which is why VAR and that room has a different responsibility. They should not put that pressure on a middle referee in the 104th minute to re-referee his decision and to make a call for the 60,000 people that are waiting for that moment. It is bearing down on his shoulders. It's unfair. It
Accidental.
just disappointing. But you do get the
Gar
goal out of Thomas Muller.
Gargs, I've
Yeah.
really quickly before we move on. I think we all agree on the call. What are your thoughts on Lutz and St. Louis? Is this a full reset now?
I think that's a good question. I think it's probably a fair evaluation. I think it's probably the right time to do it because it gives whoever's next enough time to probably really assess the roster in an intentional way. You give whoever that individual is an opportunity to be critical of David Critchley as the head coach. Not that he doesn't have, a couple reps under his belt at this point, but you're gonna give them enough time before you head into a winter transfer window to really kind of have an assessment, I think, on what moves need to be made. I think that Lutz's time, similar to the referee, man. He set a standard that was way up here, which I think everybody within that ecosystem, the St. Louis city and St. Louis as a whole soccer community, bought into it. When in reality, it was probably a little bit more successful than it deserved to be. I mean, we talked about it a
Yeah.
number of times. Like they were feeding off energy that they shouldn't have gotten some of the 3 points that they did. It ends up probably looking a little bit lopsided from the success that they had in year one. And then
Yeah.
at that point in time, players, coaches, people within that, I think, success ultimately probably maybe relied on some laurels that weren't necessarily there, and you're now probably in a tough situation to recreate that experience after year one. And then when he goes and makes a poor decision on the coach. Personally, I thought Hack should have been given the job when he stepped in as the interim. I thought he was there long enough. He had gotten enough success and buy-in from the locker room where you just move forward with Hack. Hack's got experience. That probably
Yeah.
should have been the move. You bring in Olaf, which was a disaster, a complete departure from your style of play and the ethos that the club was built on. And then when you miss on players, whether it's health related or actual positional profiles or whatever, that's what your job is in that role, and it can get pretty critical. And we've talked about this a couple times. I think the leash is getting shorter in Major League Soccer for decision makers. So
It is, but this is 101 how to lose a fan base. Like the league gives you every resource necessary to be
mhm.
successful out of the gates, which we've seen from a lot of teams in their first year now,
Yeah.
which they did deservedly or not, guards.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
everything else, all these bad decisions, is just a way to take something that was so hot and so beautiful. And you've explained it time and time again how the feeling of it in the city and taking your kids there and what a hot ticket they had and how
Hmm.
to just muck it up
Hmm.
muck it up. And now what they've done, if they've taken something so hot and they've thrown it in the bottom of the ocean, and now they got to swim all the way out of it because they've put themselves in the absolute trenches of the MLS now because of all these moves. And no team has ever been successful when you have all these firings, all these hirings, and they can't get it right, and they cannot get a stalwart to start building their club. They got to get somebody in and give them the ring. It's like Man United over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think
Good
you need
point.
consistency. I do think that they have certain pieces that they can leave in place. Hack as a technical director, we've talked about him before. He's got experience in every seat in the league. I don't think that you move on from Hack. I think that there's pieces around it. Critch, I don't entirely know what that would ultimately look like. I think that he's got the confidence of the locker room. I still think that he's a little on the green side of things, but we've seen success from coaches that don't have experience or a level of experience that is expected. I think if they continue on this trend without getting results, it's going to be tough to give him the job,
Yeah.
realistically. But I do think that, he's another piece that has climbed the ranks. He was with us at Fuse, and then he went into their academy system, and then he had a ton of success with their next pro system. And now, he's got the trust of a locker room. So he'd be another guy that I would try and keep around. And then and then you just have to get your signings right. You got to get your big signings right. Like Gordo, how many times did Bruce say this? Your DPs have to be your best players. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if they're the best players. They got to be your best players. And he's right. Like you get
Yeah.
three of them, so you can't miss. And when you miss, you got to get out of your miss, and you got to get out of it fast. And that's something that. So I don't know if it's a complete rebuild. I don't know if we have the luxury for a complete rebuild in this space anymore. With the 2026 on the
Yeah.
horizon, the speed that you have to be competitive, and also to what Gordo was talking about. One of the things that I noticed that was really disappointing this year, but I don't know if I've shared with you guys, um, the lower bowl I thought was one of the more impressive things in St. Louis that I had seen in a while. They all stand. So the lower bowl stood for the first 2 years. They don't stand anymore. Everybody
Oh,
sits.
That
you
sucks.
lost them. You lost
Yep.
them. You threw it in the bottom of the
Yeah,
ocean.
look, Gargs makes a great point, man. You only capture that intrigue and that energy to do something for the first time once. And once you lose it, man, it's tough to get back. And I think Nashville is a good comparison. We didn't have in Nashville, we didn't have as great of a first season as St. Louis, but we methodically built up and had more success each year, and the fans just naturally gravitated towards that and kept providing that energy. And then all of a sudden, you have this precipitous fall off in 2024 where you don't make the playoffs, and now they're just rebuilding that again. And you're starting to
Yep.
see Geodis Park really start to come alive with some of these big results and performances from Nashville. So I don't think St. Louis is an ocean away. I think they've got pieces, like you said, Gargs, but I do think
Hmm.
there's like a miniature reset that needs to happen.
Yep. Yep. I would agree. I don't think I don't I guess to answer your question specifically, Dax, I don't think it's a complete rebuild, but I do think that you need a refresh.
Sure.
So I think that they have some pieces in there to do it.
Yeah.
You're
We'll
second to last place. Everybody needs to rebuild at the bottom, buddy.
It's a
Hey,
safe
do
assessment
something.
there, Gordo. Yeah. Your vantage point is taken. I get it. You've been sitting down there for a while. But we are here to talk about the transfer window. So let's touch on the transfer window because I think that, we have said this. It probably is worth repeating. Maybe the most significant transfer window in Major League Soccer history. Obviously, the signings get more and more valuable. The movement is probably gets a little bit tougher. I'll just throw this out there right away. We got Rodrigo De Paul, we got Tomas Muller, you got Son comes in. Is there one move, Gordo, that is the most significant move? I know that you touched on Son. Are you still feeling like now that it's complete, is that the move without just a binary yes or no? Is that the move?
Single player?
Single player. Yeah, single
Yes,
player.
yes,
That's the
yes.
move. Dax, would you agree? So we can
I would,
say Son
I
Son
would,
is
I
the
would,
signing?
I would agree, no question about it. Did you guys see his free
Okay.
kick?
Yeah, I did. That
Guy,
Ah,
helps. That helps
sick.
solidify your decision, doesn't
ah.
God,
it?
nasty.
Thank you. Next, thank you.
You could actually see fireworks going off from South Korea, from the mountains here in Colorado.
Hey, top four Asia, top four continent.
Top four continent, arguably a top four continent. Gordo, outside of the single player, who had the most significant window, in your opinion, club?
I'm going to go ahead and take the obvious one. I think since he did the best or had the best moves, for this transfer, and they don't have any of the top three guys, which is, I think, significant because
Mm-hmm.
we talked
That's
about,
significant.
I think that, adding a few pieces that they needed with a team that has been really close over the last 3, 4 years. We've talked about that hasn't been able to punch the ticket. What they needed a goal scorer. So they got their guy Brenner back, who scored 27 goals and 75 appearances for them. He knows the league. He doesn't need to get reacclimated to the league. He knows what it's like. He's got a team around him. Kevin Dunkey, and then they got Evander. That was this year as well. So I
Yeah,
know it
yeah.
wasn't the transfer window, but that's another move. And then they got this guy Bucha in the middle.
Pavel Buka.
Yeah, Buka.
Buka.
He's a player as well. So I think they get, without having the big name signings, which sometimes it's just one player. Like if you add a group of five, like they have, into a team and fill in some holes, I think they're a really complete team now.
Mm-hmm.
And
When you
my
have all the ingredients, sometimes all you need is just need a little salt, a little
just a little
flavor, bring the
bit,
flavor
just a
out.
little bit. So the questions have been, can they score goals, right? And so doing this, and can they play in the big moments? I think these players are players. Evander, who's going to add some special moments. And if you go through the playoff run, what do you need? If you win a championship, I know Dax, but you've seen enough champions been won in this
Yep.
league. But if you're going to win in this league in the playoffs, you have to have a player that's going to come through with some special moments. I know they had
Hmm.
Acosta, and he could have done it. He didn't do it, but you got to have guys like that. So for me, it's Cincy, and it takes them to the top for me to kind of get a trophy this year, which they haven't been able to do.
I don't hate to take Gordo. I think it's a strong contender for number one. Dax, do you have a differing opinion on your number one?
Uh, I don't because I think Gordo is right. I think Cincinnati, with the pieces they have and the pieces that they added, absolutely are in win now mode. And so
Hmm.
Brenner is the big one. I
Yep.
would have said no if they didn't add Brenner because
Brenner
they
was a big
need
ad. That's
that
a
was
that's a
huge,
late
Dude,
window
huge.
ad,
That's
massive
that
for
that
them.
that that takes them over the top. But what I will say, there I will slightly disagree just on the most interesting windows. And I've got two because Cincinnati is absolutely number one, but I'm fascinated by what Portland did. Portland added three high level attacking players, which
Hmm.
to already a very good attack with all of your monetary resources are pretty much invested in this attack. And you go and add a designated player and two TAM players, right? And so
Hmm.
for me,
That's
that
a ton
signifies
of money.
that's a ton of money spent. That's Ned Grabavoy essentially saying, I think that in a wide open Western Conference, there is an MLS Cup berth to be had here. And he added Christopher Veld from Olympiacos, Felipe Carbajo, who was at
Yep.
the New York Red Bulls, went to Gremio, and now is back on loan. And then
Yep.
Mati Rojas, who, if you guys remember, was really good in Miami.
Hmm.
A wand of a left foot, very, very high quality attacking player that I actually thought Miami should have held on to. But those three, it signifies to me that they're
Which,
not
Dax, let me
content.
just add just a little flavor onto that take
Sure,
before you keep
sure.
going. Also, two high-level players with league experience, which is a
Correct.
different a differentiator
Correct.
for Ned, for Portland, for
Absolutely.
that entire locker room. You're not bringing guys that are high-level difference
Yep.
makers, expected to be that without experience in the league. That's massive for that.
Huge. I agree, Gargs. Thank you for adding that because that is a good point. And that's why I think Ned and the Portland Timbers look at the Western Conference. Maybe not the East, because the East is, I think, above them. But you guys know this. All you need to do is get to MLS Cup. You get to MLS Cup, it's one game, anything can happen. And I think the West is wide open now with San Diego having a couple slips here recently. LAFC not being able to pick up the full 3 points right
Hmm.
now with Sun. I just think that the Western Conference is wide open. Seattle's got all their focus on Leagues Cup. I think Ned and that team looks and says we can take this Western Conference. We can get to a final here if we add some high quality pieces. And then I'm going to take it in a different direction for a totally different reason. I thought Toronto FC had a really significant transfer window.
You already gave your take that you're capped
Okay.
because this is my take, TFC.
Great.
Hey,
You go.
let me
Good.
take.
You
Hey,
got
you're
Let me
you got
take.
welcome.
one
There you
pick.
go. There
You
you go,
took your pick.
Gargs. There you go, Gargs. Have at it.
Um, let me just throw some thoughts on TFC because I would love to hear your opinion too because it's not an immediate
No.
success rate here, but you do. Our guy Jason Hernandez gets out of two of probably the most significant and biggest albatrosses in the league, and
Yep.
Bernardeschi and Insigne,
Handcuffs.
and getting
Handcuffs.
yourself out of those handcuffs and moving on, while also bringing in one of the top young players in the league with
Yep.
experience, and Georgi Mihalovic. Those three moves, you gotta be feeling good if you are in the front office at TFC, not the TFC fan base. The TFC fan base is always in a give me this, show me this type of success place, because they're great fans and they want to see more. But to be able to unwind some of that and get yourself into at least a little bit more of a level set, a fresher place, a foundation for Jay to go and build a little bit from, I think that's massive. So
Yeah.
this is transformational for them too.
Hey, don't just and don't just I think Georgie's a great start, right? For to build a team around a kid who is still young at a good age. And he's a proven double-digit goals and assists guy. Like that's hard to find
Yeah,
and
it
get right.
is.
And so you have that piece already in the pocket. Great. Gargs, you just made the point for Portland. They added Jose Cifuentes as well, who was
Mm-hmm.
great at LAFC. And
Mm-hmm.
he's a loan, I think, with an option to buy at the end of the season, which I'd be shocked if they didn't trigger that option. But that's league proven, successful player, minimal adaptation period, and he provides versatility and quality at any position really that you need in midfield. So Toronto FC, Jay Hernandez, like this is his team now. This is his show. Robin Fraser, they are going to work. This is a really big moment in Toronto FC's history to get back to the club who they'll spend money, but they're
Mm-hmm.
a team that we know are consistently wanting to fight for trophies. They got it wrong with the Italian guys, and now it's time to get out from under that. I think their window was very significant for the future.
There's a couple others that I think are important to touch on from an honorable mention standpoint, because similar to Gordo, what you were saying about Cincinnati, and I don't think that they made as much of an impact in terms of a good roster addition, but dude, the Philadelphia Union, Adnilowski,
Yeah,
and in just bringing that little bit, the cup is now, in my opinion, I think runneth over right now for the Union, and they are still flying. And it is late August, which is typically where we've seen, the high octane Red Bull press ish style
yeah.
struggle and start to fall off. Bringing in a guy like that already had experience in San Diego, already had league success, and now you're able to attach him to a Ty Baribo, attach him to some of the other pieces that the Union are really gelling with in terms of a top tier team. That's a great addition, and sometimes it's just little tweaks that make, I think, Windows arguably, maybe the most successful. I think they have to be mentioned. So
I'm Gargs,
honorable.
I'm glad you brought up Philly because I want to talk about we talked about four teams who I think did well and in different ways to add to their teams. And I'm glad you brought up Philly last because what would this show be without me expressing some slight disappointment every now and then? What we would it wouldn't be the Journeymen. I'm disappointed in San Diego. I feel like they are a loser of this window because they added a lot of young players, which I love the fact that San Diego wants to add young pieces and play them right away. They have players, young players on loan from different teams in Major League Soccer, from the Galaxy, from LAFC, and they play them and they play well. But I think San Diego is at a point right now where I've been talking about how they're the Supporter Shield favorites for me for the last 2 or 3 months. I love Mikey Veras, the way he coaches the team. I love their designated players and how dangerous and how much they produce. But Iloski is such a great transition into this take because you decide you don't want to pay Iloski, and that is fine. That's your
Mm-hmm.
prerogative. You have your set model, and if he doesn't fit into it because of what he's asking for, I've got no problem with that. But you need to add a. I wanted them to add a striker, and that would for me really put them over the top because we've seen the last couple of games, if the goals dry up for Chucky Lozano, if they dry up for Anders Dreyer,
Yep.
they fundamentally don't have a third scoring option. And Tyler Heaps has come out and said they really like Marcus Ingvartsen, a striker that they signed at the beginning of the season who was supposed to be their striker. He's played 6 games this year or 7 games this year. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to stay
Mm-hmm.
on the field. So I'm disappointed because I think San Diego has the tactical acumen, the coaching. I think they have the identity to go on and have not just a special season, a historic season. Like it is not with outside the realm of possibility for San Diego to win the Shield. It's not outside the realm of possibility for them to host every playoff game in San Diego and go on to win MLS Cup. But they don't have that striker when Dreyer and Chucky are kind of marked out of the game. That's going to go and win you the game. Okay, and so I was really disappointed to see them not add. And as an expansion team, I don't think you want to hamstring yourself for the future. But San Diego, I just want to. I would love to see them go for it. They didn't. Fair enough. I hope they make me look wrong with Ingvartsen, and I hope he comes good, but he hasn't played enough.
Yeah, their window for me seemed
It's underwhelming.
it just seemed to kind of maybe show their age a little bit, and a bit naive in
No,
maybe
I
what.
think it's no, I think it shows a little bit of arrogance. I think it shows a
Mm,
little bit of arrogance that they have their plan and they are not going outside of their plan and the model that they have for roster building. No matter how, I think they went into this year and said, no matter how well we do or no matter how bad we do, we're going to stick to the same plan. Does that make sense?
mm. Yeah, it does. It does.
And it shows a little bit of arrogance. Say, look, we believe in our guys. We're going to go forward without signing a big time DP striker because we believe in Ingvartsen. I don't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I don't necessarily disagree with you, Dax. I guess maybe to your point, I felt like they could have made a move at in sensing where they were at and sensing
Yeah.
what the opportunity really kind of presented itself.
It's about opportunity for me.
Um, Gordo, is there anybody else that stuck out for you that
Um,
is worth mentioning?
I think RSL did pretty well. I think they needed a number nine with Diego Luna. They needed to support or put some supporting pieces around him. They lost Arango, as we all know,
Uh-huh.
who catapulted them to the top of the table last year. So they replaced him with this guy Boa Vista. We'll see how he does, but he's a big player. Yedlin, a proven player in the MLS, a leader
Yeah,
now.
they signed a lot of players up top, Gordo. They
Yeah,
signed Victor Olatunji, another big striker, 6'3", 6'4",
Bozenic or something.
Juan Cruz as well.
Yeah, so they
Those are
I
the
think
two
they
guys up top.
I think they were kind of sneaky and they made some good moves late to give them a little push, which they needed. These you talk about these teams that have been offloading some really good talent. Galaxy and LAFC are two of the ones that lost in this transfer window as well. You just see more talent leaving these clubs than they're bringing in. I know they signed some, but they lost some really key pieces this last year. I'm not really that worried about LAFC, but Galaxy I know they're handcuffed with a lot of these top three guys that they got in Paintsill and Peck
Mm-hmm.
and our boy Ricky Puig. But they didn't
I
re.
we can't go down the Galaxy rabbit hole right now, but
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm
I'm
not.
worried
You're
about the
talking about some
Galaxy.
losers. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
But I think
yeah.
RSL was sneaky in this transfer window. I think they did a good job.
Just real quick, you guys both had actually Dax, you had San Diego with the supporter shield, which is still plausible.
Yep.
Gordo, you had Columbus. Does this change? I had Cincy with the supporter shield, which is all everybody is still trailing Philly with the supporter shield. Do these windows change this for you?
For me,
A
for
little
sure.
bit.
Yeah, I think Columbus didn't do enough in their transfer window, and there's too much. There's too many horses in front of them in the Eastern Conference, as Dak
I
said.
I think that San Diego still has a chance at the Shield. I would hesitate to call them the favorites. I'm gonna stick with my pick. Columbus is done. Their Shield hopes are gone.
Thank
They
you for answering for me, Dax.
you
Tell
can't
them,
lose
tell
to
them
New
why.
England. You
Tell them,
can't lose
tell
to
them
New
this.
England. Can't
You
lose to
can't.
New England.
You can't.
I
You
actually
can't.
think
Ever.
I actually think Columbus's window. Oh, I'm going to disagree with you. I think Columbus's window was fine. They added a designated player striker, and they added a midfielder in Hugo Picard, who's very highly rated. So I don't necessarily agree with you that they didn't have a good window, but it's first of all, it's too little, too late, and you can't lose at home to New England. And there's too much quality in the East. Cincy, Philly, massive game this weekend. For it's I think Philly goes to Cincy, so I think that result will go a long way in determining the supporter shield.
This is the old Bruce Arena 6 point game, the
Sure
infamous
is.
The
6 point
proverbial.
game.
There's going to be a
Might
lot
as
of
well
those coming up, by the way.
might as well be a 12-point game. I just asked you guys that because I wanted to hear that you were both wrong because I picked Cincy for the supporter shield. So just so we're on the same page. You guys
Well, you're
both
not
do
right
have
yet,
I
but
know I'm not. But I
Hey,
have the best
Miami
chance
still
out of
get
the three
through.
of
You
us.
think
You
still
guys
have
both, you do have both of you have Cincy winning the cup though. So
yeah.
that is still firmly intact. And not that San Diego is not intact here, or Columbus could win the cup because they'll all be in it. The League's Cup though, we got
Semifinals, all
four
MLS.
MLS teams. For me, I was thrilled to see that. Like
Yeah.
genuinely excited. And for a number of reasons. Um,
Can I hit you
but
guys with something real quick, Gargs, before you go any
yeah,
further?
go ahead.
Second year in a row, all MLS semifinal. 3 years of Leagues Cup, there has been one Liga MX team to make the semifinals. And that was
Mm,
in year one against us in Nashville, Monterrey.
mm, mm.
So out of quick math, Gordo, what's three times four?
Oh,
Evan? Yeah.
Out of 12 teams that could possibly make a Leagues Cup semifinal in the history of Leagues Cup, one Liga MX team has done it. I mean
That's
that
crazy.
that's crazy, and that
That
blows
is
my
crazy.
mind. That blows my mind.
That is
I
crazy.
I love it. I think that I'd be interested. I want to hear you guys take because I do think that this is still slightly skewed. We all know how difficult it is to travel to Mexico and get results, and
It's not
none
even
of
slightly skewed. It's
It's
extremely
massive.
skewed.
It's
well,
massive.
I'm talking about yeah, that's probably fair. Slightly is not the right adjective or whatever it is adverb. It's not the right adverb to use. But it is are we at a point now? I understand why. One, there's two reasons why this took place. MLS was not as good as Liga MX from a roster standpoint, and also because Liga MX is more than happy to put their product in the US shop window and make sure that everybody sees how good their teams are and their talent is and continues to rile up and increase their fan base. At this point, is it something that should head back in both directions?
Logistically, you have to figure out a way to do it to if you want it to be more fair. Right now, we're at a
I don't
point.
think anybody really cares about fair. I don't think that that's the number one
I
driving
think I, I
factor.
I think I think Liga MX would care about that.
Yeah.
Well, if it's money, you're going to make
Do
more
you?
money. If it's money, you're going to make more money playing every game in the US. That's why
Right.
I believe that's the driving factor of why the MLS teams are hosting. But if you want it in the spirit of, hey, we get three CONCACAF Champions Cup spots from Leagues Cup. Like, in the spirit of being fair, I think
Mm-hmm.
Liga MX teams would argue, yeah, we would want some games played down in Mexico to
Liga
give us.
MX game teams. I would agree with that. I don't but this is I think that this is more of a league decision. Liga MX league,
Sure,
whoever is making those decisions and I don't that's where I go. I
sure.
don't know if fairness is their top priority right now.
I
Maybe
would
not.
I would I would agree. I think Liga MX they were super happy and overconfident to come play in the United States because they
Hmm.
had whipped us they'd whipped us historically for a lot of
Continually.
years. We've all
Yep.
been part of we've all been part of games, inside the US and outside the US where we've gotten shelled from these teams back in the day. It's not that way anymore. So I think that they were happy to do it, but now over the last 3 years, I bet you they're sitting there getting a chip on their shoulder saying, "Hey, we don't like to get beat anymore." And
Yeah.
MLS is not the little brother that we used to be. So let's bring it on back. Come on down, and
Come
we'll
on
show you
down.
we'll
Come,
show you what a
come on
nice little
down.
pat we'll show you what a nice little paddling is. So I think they're ready. I
Yeah.
think they're ready to bring us back and to have the playing floor a little bit even. So
Okay,
in a
so
sense,
let me flip this, Gordo. Is MLS ownership ready for that?
I think MLS
it's
ownership is very happy with how the
They're
yeah,
situation
I
is
definitely
right
think
now.
happy
yeah,
with that,
I
but
think
they
I think they're
also they love of course they love the success, right? But if we send MLS teams down to Mexico, the whole conversation is going to be revisited about reinvesting or investing more in our roster because we're going to all of the sporting directors across the board are going to be like, how do we compete with these rosters in Mexico? We can't. We need to spend more money. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
that's
I don't think MLS ownership is ready for that
the
conversation.
the point is this: wherever games are played, this is not like a crazy take. This is just what we've seen bear out over the last couple of years. Wherever games are played, that is the league and the team that has the advantage. We've seen it in CONCACAF Champions Cup. If finals and big games are played down in Mexico, MLS teams are not ready to compete. If games are
Hmm.
played in the US at MLS stadiums, MLS teams are pretty darn competitive to the point where we are
Yeah.
seeing now the sample size now is big enough to say MLS teams are really close to League MX teams, if not right on a level playing field. But it depends on where the games are played. That's a fact. No one can argue
Yeah.
that anymore.
No, for
Eh,
sure. Which is
yeah.
also pretty wild because it does lean into the argument that we're spending enough. MLS is spending
Correct.
enough because we're spending what, 1/5 of what a Liga MX roster is. So
Correct.
I don't know if it gives a ton of credibility to the argument for the sporting directors, which is not a great place to be because I think we all want to see more spend, which the league may be ready for that also. I know that they're talking about plenty of these things, right? All of these conversations continue to take place with 2026 right at the horizon. They want to be the league of choice, which they continue to say, which I don't think that they're lying. I think that that's probably a fair statement. I think that they're probably realistically looking at the timing of it. When does it really make the most sense to continue to
Yeah.
influx of cash?
Well, the semifinals, are we going to hit semifinals? My take, my,
That's where I was going.
Wait,
So
you
you
want
got
wait, wait,
my
Dax wants another pick because he's
I
been wrong
my my
twice.
my my
He wants
picks have been
another pick.
abysmal. I've thought Liga MX, I thought like the big teams in Liga MX would be like, "Hey, we're not going to lose anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah.
we're doing.
Not
All right,
anymore.
so
We're done."
Miami Orlando's up first. The Florida Derby. What do you got, Dax?
My
You are the Florida man.
I feel bad. My picks are kind of the death knell to a team right now. So I don't want to I don't want to pick Orlando so they get eliminated, but then I do want to pick Orlando because I think they're in the best form right now. I think they've got a strike partnership right now that is the most informed strike partnership in Major League Soccer with Martin Ojeda, who's an MVP candidate, and Luis Muriel is playing great. They've got a settled midfield. They've got a good back line, a goalkeeper playing at a really high level. I think Orlando, quite honestly, is the slight favorite to win the whole thing, even though they won't host. Because of the injury to Jordi Alba, because of the uncertainty around Messi. You guys know as well as I do, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season, especially a rival, which Orlando
Hmm.
would have to do. I think Oscar Pareja, this is his time. I think it's the best team that he's had since he's been in Orlando. I love him as a coach. I find myself rooting for him to have success. So let's reverse the trend. I'm gonna pick Orlando to go and beat
Okay.
Miami down in
Okay.
Miami. I'm gonna pick. Oh, Gordo, go ahead if you want to take the other side
Yeah.
of
Let's
this.
stick with this one. Let's get all three.
Yeah, I mean, dude, sometimes I watch Orlando. I'm like, this team is so good, especially at
So
home.
good,
So
dude.
good, so dangerous. And then they go and lose to 5-1 to Nashville. I know they had a red
They
card in there.
rotated their whole team. Come, throw that out
Right.
the window, dude. Come on.
Yeah, you throw it out. But
They didn't have
sometimes,
any. They had their starting center backs in Galese playing. Everyone else was rotated.
all right, but yeah. So listen, I think Orlando. When I've watched Orlando Miami games, Orlando is the one team that is not afraid to get in Messi's face, to piss him off, to disrupt him. They are physical. They are an Oscar Pereira team. They will. They
Hmm.
are going to be relentless no matter who they are. So I got Orlando as well. I'll agree with Dax.
Ooh.
You know what? I'm gonna put three on it. I'm taking Orlando for all
I
of the reasons. The only thing I'm gonna add on to your take, Dax, is about Miami, and I think that Miami also understands how valuable it is for them to win MLS Cup, and I think that they're gonna protect Messi. They're gonna protect Jordi Alba. If they ultimately go to a final, then
yeah.
I think you see a strong lineup. But otherwise, I think that they're gonna see what they can do and make sure that they're ready for a deep run in the playoffs because
It's going
they
to be a
have to
good
perform
game
there.
either way. It's going to be a
It'll
really
be a
Maybe.
good
good
game.
game, but I'm taking Orlando. All right. Gordo, you're gonna throw. I'm gonna give you first crack at this one. Galaxy Sounders.
I already said, dude, Galaxy was or the Sounders were my pick from a couple months ago. I picked Seattle. And hey, let me just give props to this guy Della Vega, dude. How wrong was I about this guy? I think he's fantastic.
That's
I
two of
think
us.
Yeah.
I
That's two
think
of
I,
us.
I think he's really,
He's
really, really good and really important for them. Even with Rusnik out, and we haven't seen Jordan Morris, they just have such a solid squad. I mean, if you watched them last night,
their depth
uh,
is crazy.
their depth is crazy, and they got a system. And this guy Schmetzer, they're just such a well intact team and like organism that you can move pieces around. And Della Vega is really fun to watch. He's super classy. He's had time to get adjusted to this league and to this
Hmm.
team, and I think he's kind of the X factor without being this super crazy superstar that's scoring goals every weekend. He does so much for them. He's so creative. The passes that he makes are just above the next. They just move so well. for all the reasons. Seattle.
It's really hard to pick against Seattle, especially against a Galaxy team that's been so bad this year. I don't know what it is about the Galaxy and Leagues Cup. It just feels like their tournament. They host every game. They
Oof.
just got smacked by Seattle 4-0 a couple weeks ago. I think that Greg will have them ready to play. Danny Masovsky is in amazing form right now, and the guy goes and gets a stupid red card in the quarterfinal. So now Seattle, they don't really have that striker because Musovski's out, Jordan Morris is out, Jesus Ferreira isn't great up top. So now you're playing Osaze de Rosario, Dwayne's son, who's been good, but he's
Hmm.
raw. I
Hmm.
just I just think there's just something about the way the Galaxy are playing in Leagues Cup right now that just I don't know. It's just call it. There's no tactical analysis to be had about why
Yeah.
I'm going with the
Yep.
Galaxy. This is a vibes pick. I'm just
Yep.
I've
I
got
feel like
I have a
I,
feeling. I just have a feeling the Galaxy are going to make it to a final. I've got to run. I love you guys. I'm taking the Galaxy to beat Seattle. I'm going Orlando, LA in the final, and I think my boys from Florida take it. I think Orlando is going to win their first major trophy since the
The
2022
vibes go
U.S.
out the
Open
window
Cup.
once the Galaxy see Orlando,
That's right.
though.
I think that the Galaxy their Achilles heel is their backline, and their backline isn't good enough. And if you have a Seattle team that is good and dangerous, you can hold on for only so long. I think Orlando is going to put them to the sword in the final. But again, hey guys, I've been wrong before, so I could be wrong again. You know,
That'll
your
be
shot,
that'll
baby.
this won't be the first, Dax.
love you guys.
Adios, buddy. Gordo, let's just pause real quick and chop the Galaxy and where their head is. Just give me if you could put yourself into that. Let me see where I want to take you here. I think they're in their coach's office, not the front office and not the locker room. I want to hear where would you be in assessing the roster and assessing the performances, overall from Greg and his staff. You're a part of that staff.
If I'm a part of that staff and all the games
Hmm.
that I've watched of them, I think two things. Um, I think they have a trump card, and it's right up their sleeve, and he's getting prepared to get on the field any day now. They're thinking we have the pieces, we just don't have our king or our queen. If we're talking about a chessboard and Ricky Pooch,
Hmm.
they're thinking, listen, it just doesn't work without Ricky, which they're right, and they've done their best job. I hope that what they're thinking is they need to solidify their back line, which has been a couple of years running now. Because their back line, they still keep possession. They still play the way that they want to. They don't have a number nine that's an absolute killer like Joveljic, but they
Hmm.
need to be saying, hey, if we get Ricky back and we solidify our back line, then we're going to be a contender again. So in the
Gordo,
that's what I think that they're saying.
they're in dead last in the league. They have way too much talent in the coaching office and in their locker room to be anywhere near dead last in the league. And I don't I like we have chopped this up a number of times. Ricky Puig is what makes their organization right now. And it has been become painfully obvious. But Greg and his staff are way too good of coaches to be in this position.
Great. I mean, but Greg is he was never going to change his style of play, which needed to happen with the back line that they have. You can't spread it out, and you can't play like he wants to play and have this possession based team and tactics going into games when your back line is so exposed. They were
Yeah.
exposed. They attacked with 8 players, and their back line's no good. So they
I
just
don't
get
get.
punished. They just get punished too easily. And you watch them play, they dominate teams, but they don't have any teeth up front. And then
Yeah.
in the back, everything else is really good. They have the players. Royce has been really good this year. I mean, he's been great.
Yeah.
He looks to be a great signing.
Yep.
Peck's going to do his thing. Painesville, me and my kids and I, we laugh about Painesville. He's like half amazing and he's half off. Like you're gonna get what you want from him, but he's super dangerous and he is a piece that won them the cup. So you have a ton. You just have in the two most important positions, almost, you just don't have it. You don't have a shutdown center back, and you don't have a guy that's going to punish and score 15 to 17 goals a season, which ultimately gets you to the top of the table. They just are missing those two things. And so if you're looking at roster construction, they got to get rid of Yoshida. Love him. Thank you, captain. But it's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it's been time. We need to go and put him. He's probably not very expensive, but we need to get another piece in. I know they got some young guys back there, but we need somebody with experience that can organize a back line. They're so disorganized all over the place, and they need a shutdown center back, period. And they need a goal scorer. So you're thinking those two things, we're going to win the cup next year. I bet you. With Ricky healthy, the pieces that we have, if we do these two things, if we have any cap space left, that's where you do it, and we win a cup.
That is a bold take, but they have been known to come from the bottom of the standings and win the cup the following year. The I think I'm taking the Galaxy in this one. As much as I love what Seattle is doing, I have a ton of respect for them. I can't pick them because I also can't stand the Sounders from our time. So I can't do that. And I also think that the Galaxy in the Galaxy's building in a meaningful game is still a very, very difficult place to go and win. And for all of those reasons, I'm gonna ride the Galaxy here. I don't think that they're gonna win this though. I think they'll win, and in terms of the whole thing, I don't think that they'll beat Orlando or Miami. So I'll take the Galaxy in this one, and hopefully Pooh shows up for the final. Oh, this was a good one. Gordo, it was a good one. Appreciate you sticking around for the ending here. Dax, we'll catch you next one. Journeyman, that was fun. See us in the comments.